Like, it take a real motherfucker to get sober.
Entrepreneurship is a mindset. It's not necessarily what you do. Because I promise you, if you're doing it for the right reasons, you will be okay.
What do we know about trauma scientifically? It changes the chemistry in the brain.
We can relate to one another, you know. That's why this camaraderie is so awesome, because we just get it and we don't judge.
You can't fight new battles with old tactics. Your thoughts become your words become your actions become your character becomes your destiny.
What do you want to be remembered by when you're gone?
What is Grounded fam? It's your boy Johnny Gio. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Grounded Phoenix podcast. As always, the purpose of this channel is to express vulnerability and expand awareness to addiction, trauma, and mental health. I have my boy Dylan with me with the Not So Anonymous podcast. What's Grounded, homies?
Dude, super stoked to be here with you, man. So glad we can connect, man. I feel incredibly blessed right now.
Dude, I'm blessed as well, dude, especially because I know you took a trip down here, right?
I did, man. I'm enjoying one of the blessings of recovery, bro. I get to be a dad right now. I get to be a husband right now. I was just speaking with my sponsor about this earlier. For so long, I wasn't present, right? I wasn't present in my daughter's life, in my wife's life. I was there, but I wasn't there, you know? So right now, man, my daughter starts kindergarten in like 6 days from now.
Awesome.
So we're taking advantage of that last little time before school starts, taking her to Disneyland, man. So
dude, that's
get
great.
my dad on.
That's right. So how has been Disneyland so far? This is the first time going?
Nah, dude, I've been a few times, man. I've been a few times. She went one time. Actually, the first time that we went, I was fresh out of treatment, bro. Like fresh out of rehab, feeling all the emotions, right? Like just on my, you know, I'm twisted. I don't know if I should laugh, cry, sing, yell. Like I don't know what I'm doing, right?
Yeah.
And man, I remember that, bro. I had I had just got my 60-day tag. I just got 60 days, and we took her for her fourth birthday. She's about to be 6, so we took her for her 4th birthday, and watching her there, man, and knowing where I was at just 60 days ago, prior to that, it was crazy, bro. And I remember taking her to the little Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, I think it's called. Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique.
Bro, honestly, I'm not a fan of Disney.
All right.
Some people are going to hate me, but that's just the truth.
Hey, it's all good, bro. It's all good, man. I have a kid, man, so it's like feels different for me, but took her there, and that's where they like make her like a princess and stuff like that. And bro, watching her sit there and get her hair done and her princess dress, and just knowing what a shitty father I'd been up to that point, and then to fast forward it and to be able to enjoy that moment and be present in the mind and clear-headed and clean to enjoy that with her, bro. I was sitting there like, like trying not to cry, dude, because it was emotional, man.
Bro, I feel that, you know, sometimes as a father myself, like I feel like I take that shit for granted, bro. Sometimes I'm not fully in the present mode because I'm just so caught up in like the future and like, you know, their well-being or the safety or like how can I provide better or things of that nature. So like moments like that, especially now and, you know, in the recovery, they're like so important to capture because those are memories. You know, yeah, we could put it on a phone and everything, but that's like an emotional experience. You know what I'm saying?
Totally, man. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I agree so much with that because there's times where I'm horrible like with social media. Like my wife runs all that shit, so anyone who like messages us, it's me commenting a lot of times, but like it's mainly my wife doing it, and even my own personal account. Because I'm just so bad with it, man. Because I'm so like a lot of times I just want to be in the moment. Yeah. I don't want to just snap it for a story. I want to like snap it up here and like hold that shit close to my heart. You know what I mean? And like truly be present for that.
Bro, I need a wife. Like, okay, no, I don't need one right now. But for those purposes, does anybody want to help me out with my social media?
Hey, man, he's got luscious hair, bro.
Oh, man. Hey, I don't have it down right now. Dude, oh, damn, man. So, you're in Disneyland. You went to Disneyland earlier. And
No, I'm going tomorrow. And
I thought you were there.
Nah, today I just drove in today, man.
Oh, I
had to make sure I had that special stop right here at the Team 12 shop. Come see Jeffrey,
bro. Shout out to Dylan, man.
Yeah, dude, just drove up, man.
He just rolls up here and is like, what's grounded? I was just like, that's right. That's right. Man. But dude, one thing I want to talk about, dude, is your podcast is Not So Anonymous, and the program is Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous.
Yeah.
And I had a guest once that was like, I never really understood why it's anonymous when I realized how important it is people need to hear these stories in order for them to possibly heal. So why did you guys decide on that name, and how important is it to you to recover out loud, and maybe some controversy in being in recovering out loud, and what are the perks of it, and maybe what are some like drawbacks?
So that's amazing. I love that. That's a great question, great topic. A lot to unpack in that right there. We started this podcast, and we chose the name Not So Anonymous because our boy Jordan came up with it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I told you earlier, like, I was dead serious. I wanted the name of the podcast to be the 13th Step. You know, like, already on some inappropriate shit, right? Like some early recovery savage shit, you know? Right. But, no, man, we would sit there and we would talk after these meetings for hours and just have the most insane, hilarious, real, raw, honest conversations, man. And I remember when I was just getting clean, I was listening to the one recovery podcast that I could vibe with. It was like this crazy dude talking these crazy war stories, but like still with solid recovery in it, you know? And young recovery, I think, is so important, right? And I'm not saying, I'm not like putting any age bias on anything at all, but fentanyl is sweeping the country right now. Fentanyl is just savaging through, I don't even know if that's a word. I'm gonna make it a word. It's savaging word now. Yeah, right. It's savaging through Phoenix right now, man. And the kids are getting younger and younger and younger. I wanted to show them, look what we found. We found a brotherhood of young men who can laugh together, cry together, get honest, get real, get vulnerable, be there to support one another, be there for accountability, and just show how much fucking fun we're having. Yeah. Because as tough as it is, I've never laughed like I've laughed in recovery. I've never smiled as much as I've smiled in recovery. And I'll tell you what, man, there's a lot of times I was sitting there getting high with tears running down my eyes, and that ain't my fucking life today. You know, and as far as recovering out loud, man, it was not well received by some of the old timers at our fellowship. Right. You know, even some people really close to us were not happy about it. You know, they had some thoughts about it for sure, and they let us know about it, you know, but my boy Donnie and I, who Donnie and me were the ones, we were sitting in my garage when we decided, you know, let's get it, you know. We always said it's bigger than us, right? This is bigger than us. This podcast is not about us. It's bigger than us, right? Grounded Phoenix, it's not Johnny. It's bigger than Johnny, right? This Recover Out Loud movement, it's bigger than just us, man. And when somebody messages me saying, hey, man, I just want to let you know that I listened to your podcast. I just binged your episodes. I've decided to seek the help that I need. I'm going to my first meeting tonight. Hey, I just want to let you know that I just got my 30 days. Thank you guys so much for getting me through. Hey, I just want to let you know I got through the holidays and I didn't drink because I had your guys' podcast to listen to, right? That right there, that's bigger than me, and that's bigger than the old timer's opinion. And I have this guy, man, Brandon Lee. Shout out to Brandon Lee. I did his podcast recently, and he's got an amazing stories from here, actually, and he's a top news anchor in Arizona. Nice. He always says, man, the root of anonymity, or the cause for anonymity is rooted in shame, right? And I want to break that shame. I want to break that stigma. So you're fucking right, I'm not anonymous. I speak my story, man.
Hell yeah, dude, straight up. And that's what this podcast is basically all about, dude. And then actually, Nick's like, bro, it's not a podcast. I'm just like, well, what makes a podcast a podcast? I'm like, I'm the same person coming in all the time. It's probably a video podcast.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
You know, but we talk about like the same stuff. So like in my eyes, it's a video podcast, and that's what it is. But it is bigger than me, dude. And one thing we talked about, you know, not on camera, which I think actually we should talk about, is how it actually does affect us in one way, shape, or form, like not so positively.
It's so there, you know, as I shared with you, man, and this is a tough one. It's I feel like our generation is the first generation to really start that Recover Out Loud movement, right? Like it just hasn't been around. Anonymity has been such a sacred thing, you know. And I understand I'll never break someone else's anonymity, of course, but mine, I don't want it, you know. And the thing that I struggle with, and the thing that I have to find balance in, is my higher power my podcast? Is my podcast my recovery? Because I went through periods of time where my podcast was my recovery. My recovery wasn't sponsoring. It wasn't meetings. It wasn't speaking at meetings. It wasn't H&I. It wasn't service work. It was my podcast. And that was where all of my time was going. And eventually I began worshiping the podcast, right? And when that happened, I got fucked up in the head, bro. And we just got back with season 2 of Not So Anonymous. We just dropped. There's 2 episodes available now. I'm not sure when this will drop, but at the time of this recording, we dropped 2 episodes of season 2. And the reason for that break, man, was amongst many other things, I was getting fucked up in the head. Mm-hmm. I was getting drained, and I had to take a serious step back and remember why I was doing it, right? Remember why I was doing it and kind of get grounded again. Mm-hmm. For not to, no pun intended, but to become grounded again,
Finding that balance, I think, is very important. What would you say were some things to notice because that helped you say, oh shit, this is becoming an issue? Because I know it's not just hey Dylan, by the way, this is your higher power now, you're
right.
Fucked. It doesn't just speak to you like that. It's like a feeling. What was it for you, and what were some things that helped you out with it?
So, first of all, the biggest effect and biggest red flag was my best friends who do the show with me, Donnie, Goomer, and Jordan, were now becoming co-workers and not friends and brothers in recovery.
Oh shit.
That's a fucking problem.
Right.
Because I can't even deliver an honest episode if me and those guys aren't brothers. Right? That was a really big problem. So now, my fucking foundation, my support group, right? I got my sponsor, but I need my support group as well, right? Now I don't have that. I got co-hosts. And that's a fucking problem. And now I feel lonely. And now I feel like I can't go to them, right? And they feel like they can't go to me. And now this disconnect is growing. And now I'm like, man, fuck Testimony Tuesday. I don't feel like doing that right now. I don't want to record right now. I can't do this right now. You know what? I'm over recovery right now.
Ooh.
And I got to that place, man, and it was dangerous for me, bro. It was dangerous, and I remember my wife looking at me like, what are you talking about right now? Mm-hmm. The thoughts of even quitting and just saying, you know what, you guys keep it from here. I can't do this anymore. They're like, what the fuck are you talking about, right? But I quit smoking cigarettes, so I'm sure that contributed to that, right?
Pretty sure, probably. Congratulations, bro. How much time you got?
Just over 3 months.
That's what's
over
up,
3 months.
dude.
Yeah. So there was a depression fog with that, but just all of it, like I said, man. As soon as the podcast and this right here, and views and likes and shit started replacing meetings and sponsees, that's a dangerous place for me to be. And I gotta tell you, man, I love recovery. I'm not interested in sober. I will not fucking do sober miserable, right? Mm-hmm. I'm interested in recovery, and I believe sobriety will be a side effect of recovery. Because if I'm not recovering and I'm just sober, just miserably sober, I got a shelf life on how long I can do that.
Can you just clarify a little bit on that? Because basically sober means you're abstinent from drugs and alcohol, and recovery, what does that mean to you?
So, thank you, man. I appreciate that, actually. Sober just means that I'm not drinking or drugging. That's it. Mm-hmm. I've replaced it with nothing, right? So, as my sponsor told me, and as I agree, drugs and alcohol, not my problem. That's my solution to my problems. Mm-hmm. I remove my solution, I'm still left with my problem, which is me, right? What am I doing to replace drugs? What am I doing to replace that fentanyl? Well, service work, right? H&I, going to meetings, sponsoring, giving away what was so freely given to me, speaking with other addicts, giving my phone number out to the dude on the street who can't get clean. Right? Mm-hmm. Coming and doing a podcast like this that is hopefully going to reach someone who needs to hear it. Going on, doing our show, getting people's stories from around the world, sharing and spreading that message. That is replacing that drug, right? If I'm not replacing that drug with something positive and healthy and something that I can put God's will into, and try to walk a cleaner life, and I fail all the time, believe me, I fail, right? I'm a wretched man, but the closer I can get to that and I can replace the drugs with all of those things, now I'm in recovery.
There you go.
You take away my drugs and alcohol, I'm just sober. That's boring to me. I don't want to do that.
So would you agree that maybe not necessarily going through the 12 steps, but just bettering yourself as a person, regardless of how that may look, is a form of recovery?
Yeah. I always say it, man. The 12 steps is how I get clean.
Right.
And that's how I stay clean, right? And I believe that everyone in the world can benefit from the 12 steps.
I agree so too, bro.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you have the happy, joyous, and free, I don't care how you got it, man. Good on you. Keep that shit up. Because we get some, very, very few negative comments. But occasionally the 12-step haters will come out and be like, yo, man, I'm sick of you saying, whatever, 12 steps ain't the only way, or fuck the meetings are boring. I'm like, yo, man, if you have happy, joyous, and free, I'm happy for you, and I don't care how you got it.
Bro, if you're out there spreading that message, you are not happy, joyous, and free.
I agree. How was I saying?
I'm just like, and then this is coming from somebody that didn't start it with meetings. Like I had my own form or method of you would say recovery. But now I'm doing the 12 steps. And what I love about it is I'm just so open-minded now to them. And I can see what you guys are talking about, because you go into doing the inner work in such a deeper level. And it's not just, because, when I was working on myself, I was holding myself accountable and doing all that, but I was dropping the ball here and there. I mean, not relapsing, but it was more like
spiritual relapse.
Spiritually, right? But when you have someone holding you accountable and you're checking in with constantly, it's like, then that's like a whole another ball game right there, So, and then these steps are very thorough, and you gotta be honest with yourself and the other person. So, I really do appreciate the 12 steps. I'm low key, bro. Help me out here. I'm low key procrastinating on my 4th step.
Oh.
I wrote 4 full pages and bawled my eyes out, and I'm supposed to write at least autobiography. I'm supposed to write at least 1 word a fucking day. 1 word. I haven't wrote in like 2 weeks.
I'm not surprised, first of all. You're not the first to do that, second of all. My 4th step was 100 pages long, man. I wrote out 100 pages of resentment, fears, sex inventory, harm that I've done to others. I have a sponsee, who he started slacking on his 4th step. He put in mad work, right? We're right about to do our 5th step, man, and we don't do it. He doesn't do it. And the thing that I caution a sponsee on when doing the 4th step and not completing it or procrastinating on it is, at least in my situation, I think the safest place to come from is my experience. If I just start doing the 4th step and now I'm camping out, well, all I did was stir up a bunch of shit, right? All I did was stir up a bunch of shit and I ain't doing anything about it, right? That's all I did. It's like a swimming pool, I can sweep that thing all day. I can sweep that dirt up all day. I watch that dirt float to the surface, go to the center. If I don't run that pump, that dirt's going to stay there. All I did was dirty up the pool for no reason, right? It's a difficult thing. And I know for me, man, the 4th step, I found out a lot about myself. I found out a lot about trauma. And I found out how much others affected me in my life that I had no idea.
Right.
And just an example, one of my uncles, who, if you would have asked me 2 years ago, didn't play that big a role in my life. When I did my 4th step and I was able to reflect on some of these traumas, played a huge role in my life. Ooh. He introduced me to suicide at 4 years old. He attempted to take his own life right in front of my eyes. I was 4 years old. Looks at me and says, I'm going to kill myself. Now swallows a bottle of pills, smacks his head on the corner of an end table. Damage done. Unsuccessful attempt at taking his life. But now I've seen what drug abuse looks like. I've seen what suicide looks like. I've seen what broken looks like. I've seen what a lot of shit looks like that I don't know how to comprehend and process.
Right.
And now I can start making sense of things because I went through this thorough 4th step. And with a trusted sponsor, a closed mouth sponsor, I can create a plan of action to attack those things and live a healthier life and not allow those things to pull me back to old behaviors.
What do you mean by a closed mouth sponsor? I mean, obviously one that's not like spreading your business.
Right.
That's what you mean. So there's sponsors out there that will do that.
I've heard of it. Yeah,
I mean, I've
seen it a couple times.
Because we're practicing some spiritual principles. You would think if you've done some work on yourself, you wouldn't do that, right?
I would hope not, but unfortunately, man, like I said, I didn't say anything, but yes, I've seen it. So I just think it's always really important, man, to make sure that we have a closed mouth sponsor, make sure that our support group stays solid, right? If you tell me something in confidentiality and say, hey, man, listen, I'm going to tell you something and then this has to stay between us, that shit is not reaching another man's ears on my account, right? I can't speak to everyone, right? Like, I would love to say everybody in the program is this closed mouth, beautiful person, but that's just not fucking true. So that's why it sounds sad, shitty to say, but like even within the rooms, man, like I'm still picking and choosing on who I'm willing to share my deepest, darkest shit with, right? And my sponsor is going to get that 4th step, and I have to trust that I picked the man who will not share my 4th step.
Right on. No, right on. I really do agree with that. Now I know you're a father now, just like me, and you were actually a father in your active addiction. I asked one of the homies, Adam, shout out to Adam, my wolf brother. he says that he wasn't a father in his active addiction. So I asked him, what would it be like? And now I have somebody that was, was a father in active addiction. What was that like?
I was a father on paper.
Ooh.
And that's as deep as my fatherhood ran. You know, we actually my wife and I adopted my daughter. She's my biological niece.
Okay.
And her parents are drug addicts. I was in the beginning stages. I'd always struggled with substance abuse. But I was in the beginning stages of my opiate abuse. And my drug of choice has evolved over the years. Weed, alcohol, cocaine, Adderall, right? Like at one point it was whatever the fuck I tried became my drug of choice for a while.
Right.
When I got introduced to opiates, man, painkillers, and eventually fentanyl, it was a game changer for me. So when we're in this process, man, it was like one day I was a father. Like one day she came to stay the night, and then, I mean, just as a gross oversimplification, she never left, right? So I didn't realize I was becoming a dad. I thought I was going to babysit my niece.
Mm-hmm.
Next thing I know it, she's ours, right? So we're going through this adoption period, man, and I'm using. By the time we go through 2-3 years of fighting, right, finally get the adoption done, man, I'm fucking severely hooked on fentanyl. And it's to the point where I'm showing up late to my own adoption case.
Oh, shit.
I'm getting high in the car on the way to my adoption hearing. And I'm sitting there high as fuck in the courtroom for one of the most beautiful moments of my entire life. She was trained not to come to me, right? To this day, I still have to work to get her to come to me and not my wife. Because as a little kid, man, her early development years, she learned, well, dad doesn't get off the couch. Dad doesn't wake up very easily.
Mm-hmm.
Dad isn't around very often. Dad ain't gonna play with me. Dad's not running my bath. I have to go to mom if I want that support. I have to go to mom if I want to eat. I gotta go to mom if I need some love. I want to play. I want to do anything, right? I trained her not to come to me because I was not available to her. And that broke my heart, man. That breaks my heart to this day. I gave my testimony last night back in Phoenix, and my wife came to me one day, and she just looks at me and she says, Dylan, seems like you were completely uninterested in being a father. I looked at her, and she was right. I was not interested. My wife, my kid, they were burdens to my ability to get high. They stood between me and my next high. Anything that stands between me and my next high has got to go. And it's not because I hate you, I love you, but I don't know how not to hurt you when I'm on drugs.
Wow.
You know? I was breaking into this little girl's piggy bank, man. Breaking into her piggy bank, stealing her change. Today I get to take her to Disneyland, and that's through the grace of God and as a direct result of these fucking 12 steps.
Well, that's amazing, man. Dude, I mean, this is why I love doing these, because I'm constantly learning and reflecting on the shit that I'm doing, even now that I am fucking in recovery, dude. Because
totally.
I'm not perfect, dude, and this is why I say like grounded Phoenix, because like it's not like I'm too low or too high. I try to stay relatively balanced because this is what the recovery has to offer, plus this podcast. But after hearing you talk right now about your daughter, it's making me realize how I see my kids. Well, I mean, I'm working on it now, but I had seen them going towards their uncle, my brother, more, because I would yell like, "What is it now?" Because I'm training them that I'm getting upset because I'm probably on the phone too much. I'm probably trying to answer these DMs or whatever it is, thinking in my head that this is for them eventually. Like they're gonna learn through these things that I'm doing, which is probably right, but at the same time, to what extent? So like. Thank you for sharing that, dude, because that keeps me on check as to like what I should be focusing on right now, and that's a true story, and I'm not ashamed to say that because that's fucking real life, and that's the things we're going through, even in recovery, even though we are sober.
Getting rid of the drugs is one thing, man. Like that is so surface level lazy recovery if we just get rid of the drugs. Like what again, now I'm just sober, and now I have replaced it with nothing, and now I'm fucking miserable, right? When I'm working on myself, man, and this recovery shit is insane. It's insane. Life is weird. Life is crazy. When I'm working on myself, man, not only am I learning who I am, but I have to learn who I am in the process of trying not to fuck up this kid as much as possible. you know, and that's a heavy responsibility, you know, and my parents love me to death. No doubt about it, love me to death. They didn't heal from their childhood trauma. They didn't heal from their traumas. They drank and drugged their traumas, right? The childhood trauma shit, I want it to stop here, right? So I at least want to be open, honest, vulnerable with my kid, and I want to show her what it's like to express emotions in a healthy way and to be able to speak honestly, and I want to validate her experiences. I want to validate her traumas. So that way she doesn't have to stuff anything. Wow. She doesn't have to act out in an erratic way, right? She can come to me, and I want her to know that I can go to my dad and have an honest conversation with him, as difficult as that may be, you know? But to do that, it's a difficult task, man. You know, it's really, really difficult. And like I said, I'm trying to figure out who I am. I'm trying to become a better man. I'm obviously trying not to put a drink or a drug in my body today, but I'm also trying to like clean up other shit in my life. You know, I'm trying to really hard to like, whatever separates me from God, whatever like keeps me rolling closer towards a drink, like I'm trying to remove it from my life. It's not always easy though, right? Because I want to take my will back all the time. Like I'm like, yo, man, oh, that girl, I'm a married man, right? This girl walks by, I'm like, I gotta make sure I don't look. Whatever it is, like I'm trying not to lust. I'm trying not to fantasize. I'm trying not to smoke cigarettes anymore, right? If I'm drinking 5 energy drinks, it's not because I'm tired. I'm trying to get high right now. You know what I mean? Like all of these different things, man. So I'm constantly looking at where can I better my life, but at the same time, not beating myself up, validating my experience, understanding I'm doing the best that I can right now, but continuing that journey of recovery that gives us endless blessings if we're willing to make those hard walks through it.
Bro, not being so hard on yourself, huh? That's something that I struggle with. What's like some things or some tools that have helped you do? Because man, I feel like I probably need to be paying you to be on. I'm gonna shoot this for a C note real quick, man.
No, man, it's honestly I was my entire life, man. I was willing to take credit for every bad thing that ever happened in my life, and I wasn't willing to take credit for anything good. You know, and that's a form of pride, form of ego in itself, right? I can do better. Oh, it's okay if you fuck up, Johnny, but it ain't okay if I fuck up. What am I saying? I'm saying I'm better than you, right? I'm being hard on myself, but ultimately what I'm saying is I'm better than you, Johnny. And that's not fucking true, right? Cutting myself some slack, man. Understanding that I have to watch the way that I speak to myself, right? Because if I'm speaking to myself like, Dylan, you fucking idiot. You did it again. Damn it. You're an idiot, bro. Like, what are you doing? If I tell myself I'm an idiot, I'm a piece of shit, I'm lazy, I'm going to be an idiotic, lazy piece of shit, right? But if I say, you know what? I'm a child of God who's doing my best to better himself one day at a time. I'm trying my best. I'm admitting my fault. I'm admitting that there's room for improvement. I'm admitting that I need to better myself, but I'm not beating myself up. I'm encouraging myself and supporting myself and validating my experience.
Dude, straight up, man, and that's valuable fucking advice right there. For you guys watching, make sure you guys are taking notes, man, or just replay this. Actually, replay this all you want.
Views, man, we need views over here.
But bro, that kind of brings me back to like the subconscious mind topic, because I feel like, you know, the subconscious mind, that's where all the thoughts, all the emotions really are. But being conscious about it and basically just understanding the way both work together, it was like a game changer for me, because consciously, I wasn't aware of like what I was consuming, you know, whether that was food,
consumption,
whether that was food, chemicals, energy, friendships, all of that. How does the subconscious mind, you know, play a role like in your life? And like, what do you do to kind of, I mean, train it, or however you want to call it?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think it's a retraining of my mind, you know, and I think I sent you a text, man. I think you posted something about that book, Think and Grow Rich, right?
Yeah.
I had to send you a text, man. I got that same book, right? My boy Donnie bought it for me. That book right there, I think that's a retraining of the mind, right? The subconscious mind. It talks a lot about it in that book, right? It talks a lot about just believing something and manifesting, right? Through our subconscious mind. Guglielmo Marconi, he went up and was like, told his homies, like, yo, man, I found a way to send messages through the air. They were like, what the fuck? Hell no, they locked him up in the mental institution, right? But like, he believed it so hard, he manifested it. Now we have the radio, right? Like, we have that shit, you know, and just retraining my mind. Big things or little things. You know, one of the big things that I did this year is I started working out. I hate working out. I hated it for the longest time, dude. But I started going to the gym. I started trying to eat healthier. You know, I started trying to pray and meditate more. You know, get on a healthy schedule. I'm trying to retrain my mind, retrain the way that I do life. Period. Right? Figure out how to spend my time in a valuable way that's going to satisfy me spiritually. Right? And it's a difficult process, man. That unconscious mind, man. And I think a lot of it comes down to what am I consuming? You know, one of the things that I recently cut out was pornography. You know, right? You know, like what am I consuming? Am I consuming, like, if I'm listening to nothing but sad music? Like, I had a sponsor or a sponsee call me one day. He's like, man, I'm feeling like shit right now. I'm just driving around feeling like shit. I was like, right on, bro. I was like, well, what are you listening to right now? He told me what he's listening to. I'm like, you watch a bunch of porn today? Yeah, I watched a bunch of porn today. Cool. How many energy drinks you have? 2? Like, so you're chugging energy drinks, watching porn, and listening to sad music. Why do you think you're gonna feel good?
Yeah.
What the fuck about that says clean?
Yep. Facts.
And I'm not gonna sit here and talk like I haven't been right where he was, right? Because I have, and that's how I understand that this process is detrimental. You know, it's unhealthy for me. You know, so you nailed it right there. The retraining of the mind and that buzzword consumption. What am I consuming? And this is not to say that I am a perfect man, that I've got this figured out by any means necessary.
We're not perfect
at all. Like, these are just things that I'm aware of, conscious of now, and trying to retrain. Even though I fail a lot daily, these are things that I'm trying to retrain, man.
Yeah, dude, I agree. I can't believe you didn't like working out.
Dude, when I was done with high school sports, I was done with the gym. I hated it, man.
Where'd you play?
Football, baseball, basketball, football, baseball year round. Been on a skateboard since I could crawl.
Sick, bro.
Yeah, man.
Sick.
Love ball.
Basketball, baseball, football.
Oh, yeah.
Quarterback, wide receiver, running back.
Running back.
All right.
And then, believe it or not, man, up until at least high school, at least, I played defensive end. Not because I was big, but because the guards were too slow to get me, man.
Bro, hey, let's have...
And then cornerback in high school.
Oh, that's dope,
yeah,
dude.
before I quit, so I can get. Oh yeah, dude. It didn't start off that way, but eventually I got quick. Dude, I'm a tiny kid, bro. Like, I'm not a big man. I had to get. Like, I'm not trying to go head to head with someone. I got to get quick so you don't get a clean hit on me.
You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking fucking turkey bowl for Thanksgiving. We get Valor Fitness, Grounded Fitness, Team 12, Not So Anonymous, all the fucking sober and recovery brands to get together and just fucking play some fucking football or basketball or whatever. Right. It could be something with different seasons, but I think that shit will be dope.
That would be fun, bro. That would be fun.
I mean, I think it has to do with, I know one thing for me, getting out of my comfort zone. I think you got out of your comfort zone maybe when you started working out.
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely. You know, it's not easy. It's not easy to go into a gym you haven't been into for a long time and, like, it's its own world, you know what I mean? Like, it's like everywhere has its own, like, culture, you know? Yeah. And so, like, I was just in Hawaii, man, and I wanted to surf so bad, but, like, I didn't want to go out there by myself because I'm like, yo, some of these surfers are going to fuck me up. Like, if I fuck with their culture, you know what I mean? Or, like, that's with the routine, like, whatever it is, right? Same thing with the gym, man. Like, I got this dude walking around, like, you know, like, chugging, like, taking dry shots of pre-workout in front of me, and I'm over here trying to curl. Like, what the fuck was that, dude?
They be doing that, those dry shots, just like, whoop.
Yeah, dude, so it was, man, it was intimidating, but luckily my wife, man, she's, like, all about that stuff, dude, so she took me in, she, like, gave me my workouts and, like, showed me what to do, so I just started from there, man. It's been cool, but yeah, that comfort zone, bro, getting out of that comfort zone. I've always said comfortable keeps me sick.
Dude, finding I guess, like, a silver lining or the gift of uncomfortability. Like, for me to do something like this, bro, I mean, till this day, I get super nervous. Mm-hmm. I mean, I choked earlier, and you I'm like, running, bro. And we're like, yeah. Oh, fuck, my bad. I slipped up. But so uncomfortable doing these things, dude. And I think now more so, like, I put myself in uncomfortable situations because I know that's where the growth is.
It is, dude. It 100% is, you know, and I'll never forget the first conversation that I had about this when I was out of treatment, because going to treatment was the most uncomfortable thing I ever did in my entire life. Going through that detox again was the most uncomfortable thing I ever did in my entire life, you know. And it was after a meeting one time where this guy comes up to me and he goes, you know what? And I had 2 months clean, maybe at that time, 2-3 months. And he comes up to me, he goes, man, I've been listening to your shares for this past month or so. I'd never spoken with this man prior to that, but he says, I've been listening to your shares for the past month or so, and they hit me like fucking thunder. He goes, I relate so much to how you feel. And he was still getting high, man. He was coming to the meetings, but he was still getting high, which if a kid comes to meetings high, my heart goes out to you because I was that kid. That is a conflicted place to be.
Mm-hmm.
But he comes up to me and he says, man, you know, what do I do? And I was like, bro, like, I just told him what I did. And the topic of treatment comes up. He says, you know, dude, I don't want to go to treatment, man, just because I want to be comfortable. And that's the first time I realized it now. That dude, comfortable keeps us sick. Comfortable, I hated my addiction. I hated my life. But there was a weird, demented, dark, comfortable in my life of addiction that I was familiar with. Mm-hmm. And it was keeping me sick. And I had this conversation with this guy. And by the end of it, he goes, you know what? I'm going to go to treatment, man. I'm going to go to treatment. And then, you know, everyone says that. You know, everyone says that. I'm like, all right, cool, bro. I'll see you tomorrow. He goes, you see me tomorrow. It's not a good sign. I was like, all right, cool, whatever. I show up. He's not there the next day. And I'm like, yo, what happened to so-and-so? Like, oh, I went to fucking treatment. Smashed his crack pipe right in front of us, caught a cab and went to treatment.
What?
I was like, dude, that's fucking dope, right?
Dude, that's what's up right there.
All because of that conversation about comfortability. This shit right here is not comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I've never interviewed anybody in my entire life. And I decide the first interviews that I'm going to do are going to be live on Instagram. Like, no fucking rehearsal, no like warm up, no nothing. Like, I was extremely uncomfortable, but I grew from it, bro. And like, it made me so stoked out. And it just brought like this fulfillment to me, you know?
Facts, dude. Facts. I agree with that. What are some challenges now? I mean, because we're not perfect. What are some challenges now that you deal with? And what is the one step? I mean, there's probably multiple, but what is the one step out of the entire 12 steps that you're just like, this is like my go-to step to because I know it helps me no matter what?
Dude, I can't, dude. I can't narrow it down to one, man. I just can't. I wish I could, but I can't,
That's
man.
a great answer.
I can't because there's a lot of things that I struggle with. Obviously, the area of sex has been on my heart a lot, which is why I'm removing pornography from my life, right? And that's something that I hope to do, right? I don't want to relapse on pornography, right? That's just one area of my life, you know. Cigarettes were another area of life. Like I said, I got just over 3 months off of cigarettes, you know. 1, 2, and 3 are my foundation. That's my foundation. I am powerless. Not just over alcohol, right? I am powerless over people, places, and things. Only thing that I can control in life is how I react to it, right? I am powerless. So once I understand and accept that powerlessness, now I can practice acceptance. I'm in acceptance. I can't control Johnny. I can't control everything around me, right?
Yeah,
I tried so long to do it, right? I can't control that. I cannot restore sanity to the situation, but let's go to step 2 because I know someone who can. My higher power can restore sanity to the situation. Once I come to believe that, truly believe that with my heart, now I can say, you know what? You got it. I can turn my will over to the care of God and say, you know what? You got it. I can't do this. And now I don't have to have the burden. I'm not bearing that burden, right? And then I go to 6 and 7. Step 6 and 7, bro, are the most overlooked steps, for me at least. And a lot of times, I just don't hear a lot about it. If I'm struggling with something, have I truly asked God to remove that character defect? Have I truly came to Him, humbled myself, and said, will you please remove this shortcoming from me? Or is there a piece of me that likes that sick? Is there a piece of me that wants to hold on to that little bit of self-will, that little bit of sickness? That way I can act out on it to satisfy my own flesh, right? So it's like a heart condition, man. If I'm being honest and I'm in enough pain, and I really want to change, 1, 2, and 3, now I'm going to 6 and 7 that shit and say, God, please remove this from me. I give it to you.
Bro, how, because I mean, this was tough for me in the beginning. How do you establish a connection with your higher power, and how does your higher power, I guess, how does it look like? Is it God? Is it earth? What is it to you?
So I'm very convicted on who I believe God is, right? I'm a strong believer in Christ. I understand that's not everyone, man. You know, and I always tell, like, a sponsee of mine, man, I took him in, he was an atheist. Straight up atheist. I didn't push him, I didn't say anything. I was like, all right, you know, whatever. You're going to go through your journey, right? I'm never going to push my beliefs on you, right? I do believe if we work these steps properly, we will find God. If I work my steps properly, by the end of it, I will find God. Or at least establish a connection with God, right? And I think a big thing about step 2, man, you know, coming to believe that higher power, right? Because like all the steps make sense until we get to step 2. You know what I mean? Like with a lot of people, just coming to believe that God could, even if I didn't believe that He would. You know, just believing that, man. And what I do, one of the exercises that I do is I have my sponsees write a letter to God. Okay. For step 2. Just write a letter. And it could be fuck you, it could be thank you, it could be whatever. Resentment, blessing, I don't care. But I want you to get as rigorously honest as possible with God in this letter. Then I want you to write a letter from God back to you. You know? Dang. So I want this relationship to be established, right? Even if it's brief, even if it's not a lot, whatever it is, like, let's begin building this relationship, right? And I think the issue that I see with so many people that I work with is they're expecting all of a sudden this quick fix, this quick result, this aha burning bush moment. Well, that's not how it works for me, right? If you don't know who I am, you're not going to recognize my voice, right? Mm-hmm. But if we spend enough time together, you're going to start recognizing my voice, right?
Damn, I love the way you said that shit, dog.
When I'm in a relationship with somebody, I'm not going to tell them my deepest, darkest secrets first time I meet them. I spent 2 years with that person and developed that relationship. Now I'm going to get more and more honest, and I'm going to get more and more support, and I'm going to get more and more love. But my relationship with God is the exact same way. Mm-hmm. I have to take the time to get to know Him on a personal level. That way I can recognize His voice, you know, and not expect Him to just do shit for me just because I pray. And expect that I know what the plan is for me. And accept that God's plan for my life ain't necessarily even my business.
Damn, it's your life, but it's not your business. And then it just goes back to like, there's some things you just can't control.
The only thing in life I can control is how I react to it, man. I can't control if you're gonna I can't control that battery right now, right?
Bro, the battery just fucking got hot and my camera just took a shit on us.
But we can't control that, right? But how can we can react to it, right?
We turned the AC on.
Oh, it's still running, bro.
It's all good. Fucking, we need that shit. But dude, that's a great example. I love the way you put that, dude, because I find it even within myself. Like I had to get into crystal chakras at first, and that actually opened my mind up a little bit to be. Actually, I was probably just vibrating on a better level once I got into like my spiritual messy, if you want to say it, since we're making up words now. With the crystal chakras, and then I had like, I guess this moment I was like, well, what's up with God? You know, like how come I never accepted or believed in God even though I'm Catholic? And that was because He had let me down so many times, and in my mind. But I started looking back, and there was some positive things that came out of certain negative situations. That then I realized, holy shit, this was probably a blessing in disguise.
Well, and I think, you know, because you just mentioned that buzzword, Catholic, right? I can't tell you how many people I talk to from the Catholic Church who like just bail and they're like, no, dude, that ain't me, you know. And one of the saddest things that I think I hear is when I talk to people and we bring up the topic of God, and their immediate response is, oh, the church ain't for me. Like, I didn't say anything about the church. What part of that church is God? Is it the wall? Is it the building? Mm-hmm. Is it the chairs? What part is God exactly? Sure as hell ain't the man up there on the stage, right? My relationship with God, I go to church, right? And I'm blessed with a really good church. If the church is my foundation with my relationship with God, I'm fucked from the start, right? Because now I'm worshiping man. I'm not worshiping God. I'm worshiping man. You know, and this shit with like the door hangers and higher power being the group and the doorknob and the ocean, like whatever, man, if that keeps you sober, if you're happy, joyous, and free, all for it. I just haven't seen that work in the long run. And that might sound like a fucking shallow-minded opinion. Just in my experience with people, I haven't seen it work in the long run for that genuine, happy, joyous, and free, right? So I think one of the things that I would love to separate is religion and God. I'm not a religious man. Strong believer in Christ. Do not like religion. I think religion is the worst thing that ever happened to God. You know what I mean? And if I find myself worshiping religion, I'm worshiping a man, I'm worshiping a building, and that's not a strong foundation for me to be on with my higher power.
I agree, dude, and I think a lot of people automatically feel that when you bring up the word God, you're bringing up some sort of religion,
right?
Or some sort of group. It's just like you want me to be a part of, or like some sort of cult. And essentially, dude, when I first got into like the rooms, which were court ordered, I was like, what the fuck is this? I was like, no, I don't relate to any of you. And I really never hit a bottom that low. You know, I caught a couple cases. I didn't drink every day. I mean, I shared my story with you.
You did.
But I thought to myself, I was like, dude, I'm not this bad. So this isn't for me. I'm better than this. So, but then I found myself still having a miserable time or like living life like very poorly. So I found myself in the middle. I'm like, so where am I? Like, what do I do? And I feel like there's a lot of people out there that don't consider or think they're addicts or alcoholics, but they're also not happy and they're making some really bad decisions because of their using, and they're just kind of like in limbo and like, where am I? And they go over here and it's just like, well, I never was homeless, or I never did heroin or fentanyl, so I don't belong here. And like, you don't belong to the people that casually drink or use because you overdo it. So like, you either you have to pick a side. And like, there's a lot of people, including myself back then, that are struggling. What do you think would be something that could kind of welcome people more towards like the recovery side? Because I'm here now and I love it, and I think a part of my mission is to help people that feel like they are where I used to be open-minded to it. Maybe the 12-step might not be it, but like, be open to it, because I firmly believe that even if you don't have any addiction or alcohol use problem, you can benefit from it. Absolutely. No matter what, 100%.
100%.
And I mean, I'm not even doing my 4-step when I already feel like I'm fucking benefiting from it. You know what I'm saying? So what is your answer to that?
So I think, you brought up some great topics right there, some great points right there. I'm not homeless. I'm still maintaining a job. Well, I'm not shooting up, right? That's that trap of comparison. And for me, I fell into it, right? Because I compared my using to those around me. Well, I'm not as bad as my family. Well, they're snorting it, I eat it. Oh. Well, now I'm snorting it, but they're smoking it. But oh shit, now I'm smoking it. Oh fuck, alright. Now I'm doing all the things that I said I would never do, right? But I hid behind that shield of social acceptability. I mistook social acceptability for personal recovery, meaning if I could show you the house, I could show you the family, I could show you the car, I could show you the job. That meant I did not have a problem. You were the one with the problem. Fuck you. You can't handle your stuff, I can, right? I'm not a junkie on the street, right? That mindset almost killed me. It almost took my life. And I was so focused on the material bottom, like you said, I didn't have like a real low bottom, caught some cases, whatever it is. Who's to say that, right? Because I had a spiritual rock bottom. And I believe it doesn't matter if I hit the streets or not. Until I hit my spiritual rock bottom, I wasn't coming. I wasn't coming to the rooms with an honest heart. I wasn't getting the help that I needed. Right? Because I wasn't broken enough in here. And it wasn't until I got done kicking my own ass for so long and got spiritually fucking rock bottomed that I was willing to accept that help, man. So I think removing that idea that an alcoholic or someone who needs the 12 steps is somebody on the street begging for change. That idea is life-threatening. It's a spiritual issue that I deal with, right? Because even in recovery, if I abandon my spiritual principles, if I abandon my program, I will do some fucked up shit. And then I will get fucked up in the head, and then I'm getting that much closer to grabbing some fentanyl.
Bro, straight facts, dude. I love the way you put that. One way that I like to share my story, because when I go to like panels and shit like that with Jim, he's asked me to go a couple times. What I say, dude, is that I look for the similarities now and not the differences, right? And what I do is I know there's many people that have been homeless, right? But I tell them, like, dude, I may have never been homeless, but I didn't feel at home in my own skin. So like, let's say they say the body is your temple. So like, if I don't even want to be in my own body, and I'm sure everybody has felt that way, if you've experienced traumatic experiences or whatever it may be, like some sort of fucked up shit, right? You don't feel comfortable in your own skin, and a lot of people can relate to that. So I'm just like, yeah, I may not have been homeless, but like, I know what it's like to not want to be in your own skin. And that's like one way where I kind of like, boom, like I want to connect with you on that level, because that's where I've been through, and I know that's exactly how you feel.
You know, one of the things that I told Goomer, who did that Instagram live when we did that, I said, man, Johnny is so much like you. That guy's emotional IQ is on point. I firmly believe that, right? The way you just compared that, a physical home to our home right here, it's so true. And this is the most important home we'll ever have, right? How am I treating myself, right? To feel homeless, to feel like I don't fit in my own skin, to have that identity crisis, to feel lonely like that, to feel disconnected like that, you're fucking right, I'm a drink. Because why not? I hate myself. If I hate myself, I'm not going to treat myself very well. So you're absolutely fucking correct, man. And that right there is that spiritual bottom that will bring somebody to their knees and to the rooms eventually so much quicker than a fucking homeless shelter will.
Bro, I agree with you, man. And speaking of these spiritual bottoms, man, have you come up like with a formula to maybe fucking speed that up?
If I do, I'd profit off of AA, man. I'll tell you that.
Because it's like, dude, like, I really do feel like people have to hit that bottom or like whatever that may be to them to make that decision to want to help themselves. Because we can help and provide all these resources and solutions, but if they don't want to do it for themselves, you know, and like, how can we subconsciously transmit all this shit to them? Is it through podcasts?
Dude, what you just brought up is, I don't know, man. That's fucking deep, bro. That's big. Because the truth of the matter is, bro, I was giving my testimony last night, as I mentioned earlier, and one night after a meeting, my sponsor is there and my sponsee is there. My sponsor tells my sponsee, I gotta be honest with you, man, I didn't think Dylan was gonna make it. I didn't think this fucking kid was ever gonna make it. I was gonna die in my addiction. It sounds fucked up to say, but statistically speaking, we're fighting an uphill battle. You know, it's tough. Most of us will not make it out of this thing. To strap up, lace up, and get out the door and do this every day despite knowing that, that's hard. That's recovery. My sponsor sticking it out with me, despite believing I wasn't going to make it, that's his thoughts, but he still stuck it out with me. He showed me that love. He picked up my phone call every single time I called him. Every time I showed up high to go do step work, you know what I mean? And he still took me through the steps. Bro. That's love, bro. And that's him getting that one person who's going to make it, right? The fact of the matter is, like I said, it's a dark reality, man. Statistically speaking, not many of us are going to make it out of this thing, right? But I will continue to do this and plant seeds. You ask what can we do to speed up the process? My honest opinion, absolutely fucking nothing. We can plant seeds. We plant a seed, right? We plant a tree seed, right? Motherfucker ain't gonna be here tomorrow, but it will grow over time, right? And that's the same thing that we're doing, man. Like, I look back at my recovery, and I look back, so many seeds were planted that I didn't realize until they blossomed.
True.
Right? It's the same thing we're doing, bro. You might not... I'd like to believe that eventually the work that we're doing here will increase the statistics in our favor that get more people clean, right? But even if that's not the situation, man, I think just planting those seeds and continuing moving forward and celebrating any victory that we can, if you got one day, 10 years, man, like, let's celebrate these victories because they are hard-fought victories, man.
Bro, very well said, man. And it just goes back to that topic of, like, what are you consuming? Because essentially what you're consuming is the things that are planting the seeds.
Great point.
You know, like, what kind of people are you hanging around with?
Totally.
What music are you listening to? Because believe it or not, that music is planting motherfucking seeds.
100%, bro. Yeah. I grew up loving, like, depressing music, right?
I think we talked about that before, yeah.
Dude, it fucks me up, right?
I love being sad.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, those sad songs, I was just like, damn, man, listening to Avant and all those sad love songs, I was like, oh, I love this thing.
Right? And it's true, bro. We get, like, this comfortability in our sick. Right? That comfortable in chaos feeling that I think is all too familiar for a whole lot of us, man. And you're absolutely correct. Who am I surrounding myself with? Mm-hmm. For a long time, you know who I surrounded myself with? Me. Mm-hmm. That's bad company. Yeah. Me by myself, that's dangerous for me. Right? The first time I went to a meeting, man, and my sponsor and another dude ran after me. I didn't know he was my sponsor at that time, right? He wasn't my sponsor at the time, but he was about to be. He came and grabbed me, man, and that was like that seed planted. The first time that I had dudes in recovery who were willing to talk to me. You know what I mean? Who am I surrounding myself with? Today, I love my friends of the past. The kids I grew up with, the couple, that I still keep in real close contact, love you guys. Always will. My boys in recovery, though, it's different.
Yeah.
Because we don't know each other very well, or haven't known each other very long. we've had more intimate conversations with each
Right.
other already
Right.
than I have with most people I ever grew up with, right? Because we understand that common hurt, that common bond of that suffering, that spiritual issue that we deal with, knowing what it's like to kick, right? Knowing what it's like to withdraw, knowing what it's like to fight for one fucking day of sobriety. There's a respect here because we know what each other's went through, right? Surrounding myself with the correct people who are healthy for my environment and that produce healthy results, right? And that's anything in life. We were talking about real estate earlier. If I want to sell a house, I probably can't go and kick it with the dope fiends anymore, right? Like if I want to sell a house, like I gotta like get around people who buy houses.
Yep.
You know, who am I surrounding myself with, man? And is it going to lead to a positive result? In recovery, even I've had to cut people out of my life.
Yeah.
Because you were stealing my energy and you were affecting me in a negative way. I love you, I'll pray for you, but we don't necessarily need to be in each other's lives.
That's tough, man.
Very tough.
That is super tough. I had a hard time cutting people off just because we just
Big heart.
grew accustomed to, like, these are like, I've known these people for so long, you know, I got so much love for them, but is it love or is it just comfortability or is it just a familiar face?
Yeah.
You know, but bro, you hit the nail right on the head, dude. I appreciate your time, man. We said we're just gonna do 45 minutes tops, but it's gonna be so hard to chop up 1 minute for the Instagram to like, put in there. So like, I might even have to fucking extend it to like the whole thing, just throw it on there. Dude. But thank you so much for your time, dude. I really respect you so much. Like I said, I'm probably gonna slide you a C-note over here because
Nah, man.
this is therapy for me, bro. I appreciate you. Before I let you go, though, I gotta ask you this one last final question.
Let's get it.
And that is that I believe there's 3 things in life that are guaranteed, and they're actually marked in our gravestone. Which is our birthday, the day we pass, and that dash in the middle of that. I think a lot of us kind of overlook that. What is it that dash is going to represent for you? What do you want to be remembered by when that day comes?
You know, this is something that I've really been focusing a lot on. Not necessarily my death, but how people view me. You know, I'm not well liked by a lot of people. I haven't been well liked by a lot of people in my past.
Man, they're tripping.
Well, I wasn't always the nicest guy to be around, right? I didn't always treat people very kindly. I didn't treat myself kindly. Why the fuck would I treat you kindly? I don't even like me, right? I really am making a conscious effort on treating people better, showing grace, and showing love. The same love and grace that I don't deserve but I receive, I want to pay that forward. Right, just like I received this gift so freely given to me. I need to give that away to keep it. I want to do the same thing, man. And when I die, if people could say Dylan was a humble man who made himself of service to as many people as possible, and was a good father and a good husband, fuck it, man. I'll take it.
I'll never be the same.